Hey, welcome back to this week's My Library. I am your host, Daddy Moreno, and I'm speaking slowly because I know the titles have to take a second to appear then disappear. Now, I've written all these books that you see here on the shelf, including one extra, which is only an ebook entitled Smart Ass Phones. Off of the smartphones, because with the smart type and the autocorrect, that sometimes they don't type what you want them to type, so I call it smart ass phones. And I wrote all of those with that other one, smart ass phones, under the pen name of Rico Lonzo. And I'm slowly starting to turn them back into my name, Daddy Moreno, or I might stay with Rico Lonzo. Who knows? Who cares? It's the writing that we care about. And so what I do once a week here on My Library is I read an excerpt, a part of one of my books to you. And if you like what you hear, you can go purchase a book. They're available on Amazon.com. And we also run a contest every week. Whoever comments the most below or sends me the most emails, and you can email me directly at daddymoreno.defy@gmail.com. So you send me a bunch of emails or you leave me comments below, and you can win your own free ebook. So today we're going to read a piece of Angel in Corpus Christi. Well, there you have it. So this was based or inspired by an actual event. I won't give it away, but the end scene in this is based on an actual event. Now, this is a book I wrote where angels inhabit the bodies of homeless people, allowing them to touch and bless others without them ever really knowing, because if a homeless man come up and touched you or bumped into you, you'd be like, what the heck? So it's a very, it's one of my favorite books, actually. Now, today I'll be reading from, I think it was page 117. Okay, now in this part, the three main characters are chasing after this John Doe homeless man because one of the lead characters believes he was healed by the homeless man. So we got his two friends, and they all work in an ER. They're kind of like students, interning or, working in the ER. And this is taking place in Texas. So they've gone to look for John because the one character is convinced that John is a healer. Goodbye. Nice knowing you. Don't call us. We'll call you. Now in complete desperation, Robert thought the unthinkable. But in his mind, at that moment, the unthinkable seemed to be the only course of action. He ran up behind Kyle, yelling, "Wait!" Then slashed his upper right arm, with a rusty nail, cutting through his shirt and drawing blood. Kyle spun in pain as he grabbed at his now wounded and bleeding arm. "Ah! Are you frickin' crazy, dude?" He saw the blood on the rusty nail. "With a rusty nail? Now I'm gonna have to go get a tetanus shot." Then as anger surged in him, "Dude, you are so..." Jennifer saw that Kyle was about to lash out at Robert physically at this point. And at this point, had also enough. And quickly, you could like rehearse this. This is all off the cuff, fresh. Had also had enough and quickly sounded out to quell the moment before it escalated into a barroom brawl. "Robert, my God, what has gotten into you?" She grabbed Kyle's arm as he had drawn it back in preparing to throw a punch at Robert to take a closer look at it, while at the same time stopped its intended motion toward Robert at high speed. By habit, she also began some on-site triage. Kyle continued once he regained his composure. "Bro, you need help, and you better stay away from us." With that said, both Kyle and Jennifer started backing away from the area, keeping their eyes on Robert, while John continued to walk in circles around them for lack of something to do. John had seen Robert slash Kyle's arm and was unsure how safe or unsafe he was in the situation, so his eyes were also darted left and right and behind him for caution. Robert briefly came to his senses and realized he had screwed up big time. Guys, I'm sorry. No, I'm not nuts. It's just that he was at a loss for what to say anymore. Had he gone crazy? This whole time, John continued to circle the group, since Robert had put to a standstill his shopping cart. Then there was a bleeding arm he couldn't stop looking at. Without thought, John walked over to Kyle and Jennifer as they continued to back away from Robert and touched Kyle's wound with a single finger. This caused Kyle to scream as he pulled his arm away from the touch he felt come from behind. It's like, dude, don't touch that. You're going to infect. But before Kyle had a chance to finish his sentence, a glow came from the wounded area on his arm, right where John had touched it. Then Kyle continued to speak while looking at his wound as it healed completely in front of his own eyes. In front of his own eyes. Robert, just stay. What the fuck? Robert saw the glow, and the healing process had started jumping with added energy and excitement. I told you too, he was a healer. I knew it. Jennifer and Kyle stood frozen in their tracks as their eyes were locked on the now healed part of Kyle's arm, while John continued to walk in circles around the trio. Robert continued his victory dance. I knew it. I was right. I'm good. Oh yeah, I'm good. That's right. Right at that moment when Robert had released John's cart to do his victory dance, and Kyle and Jennifer were still frozen in their step as they had just witnessed the most amazing thing of their entire life. John took the opportunity to stop walking in circles and had grabbed his cart and began to continue to trek away from the trio. He had healed again, and he wasn't sure what the trio's intent or action was going to be after that. He just knew he wanted to be as far away from them as he could. He wanted his normal life again, quiet, away from people. Kyle and Jennifer finally snapped out of their trance as Kyle spoke out, having regained complete composure. Okay, dude, you're not crazy. You were right. I apologize. Then, waiting for Robert to stop his dancing in the street, what do we do now? Robert looked over to his friends, and after doing a brief double take to John, who was gaining ground away from them, he motioned with his head in John's direction, sending the message, "We need to follow," which they all did. And that's it. And that is a piece from chapter 14 called The Final Stretch. So thanks for watching this episode of My Library. You know all the rest. Throw an email, throw a comment. Have a great weekend. We will see you next week. Peace! Peace!